Good morning, Brandon, or good afternoon, whatever it is in Japan. I'm going hoodie Ryan this morning. Got done with a long walk, 2 miles today. Tired. Um, okay, so talking about if I were a politician, what would be my move? Um, what system would I support? And I think it's fairly straightforward for me, and yet it's kind of complicated with how it's working for us and our family. So when we're talking about poverty and we're talking about, our homeless populations and whatnot, it's been very clear to me that it can be incredibly challenging to get someone out of homelessness or help adults who have already created really poor habits. And as a taxpayer, to put in a lot of money to try to help those folks isn't, I don't believe, the best return on your investment. I feel like if you can do things that will support the kids from ever really fully engaging in that cycle of bad choices, of poverty, of being hungry, you can give them a better chance and give them more hope, so they don't just automatically fall into that cycle. So that's challenging in itself, but I still feel like it's a better investment. It's not 100, wouldn't be 100% by any means. So if I'm a politician and I wave the magic wand, I am certainly putting it towards public school education. After school programs would be really great, so kids don't have to go home at 3 and have nowhere to be. If they could be at school until 5:30, maybe now the parent is home, because parents maybe aren't sending them to a daycare because that costs more money. So after school programs that would include maybe a healthy snack. And you can just envision an 8-year-old riding the bus home, going home, and eating Cheetos, playing video games, and then whatever the parents are going to come home and do. That would be a great few hours there where maybe teachers could make more money because maybe they hung out and did some after school programming, or maybe teacher aides. If there was enough money to pay teacher aides, who don't have to grade the homework and do the extra stuff outside, that maybe a teacher aide could take over some after school programming, make a little bit more money, and also help. And not every student would take advantage of the after school, so the numbers would drastically reduce between who you're seeing between 8 and 3 and 3 and 5. So I don't know how practical that is, but that would be something that I would certainly consider. We had a vote this year in Arizona to put more money towards schools, and I quickly voted yes. That's always a no-brainer for me. Arizona usually ranks 49th or 50th, depending on who you look at, for education and funding. I also, don't love the idea that public schools are funded primarily by property taxes. So you take those more well-off areas, and they just get more money. So they just have more hope and more opportunity in those school districts. So I'd like to figure out a way. Maybe there is enough money. Maybe just disperse it a little bit more equitably. So then it brings me to my own personal situation, which I wrestle with. But ultimately, it just comes down to what's best for my kids, and that's the choice we're going to make. But in Arizona, you have a tax credit that can be used to go to a private school tuition. So what we do is we hope that we can find a few folks who live in the state of Arizona who will donate some money towards our kids' tuition at their private school. What this looks like is a tax credit. So it's a dollar for dollar tax credit. So cousin Mark is somebody we often rely on to try and help us with that. So he's able to donate up to X amount of dollars towards their tuition, and then he gets a dollar for dollar tax credit when he does his taxes. So it just comes right back to him. So it's no money out of his pocket. The money does come then out of the general education fund, I believe. So now that he's done that, his X amount of dollars that would have gone to the big pot of money for education for the greater good now goes to Ayla and Reese. So that's the dilemma. I would be comfortable sending my kids to Clarkdale School and Clarkdale Elementary. I think it's a relatively decent elementary school, and they've got good programs, they've got good ratings, they've got good teachers. Smaller school, they typically have the best funding around here. So I would be okay with that, and it would be free, and we'd be taking advantage of a program that we're already paying for. On the flip side, the Christian school provides a lot of additional care that no public school would. They're getting a different type of education there. And even with the tax credits last year, we were still paid a few $1,000s for our kids to go to school. So that's a family choice. It's not I'm glad I'm at least aware of the repercussions, because how it's pitched is, hey, this is easy and there's no negatives, there's no cons, but there really are cons to this program, and I try to be aware of that. But so anyways, if I were to wave my magic wand, I would put more money into our public schools, try to get kids out of the cycle, and move them forward. So if my kids were going to the Cottonwood Public School Districts in Cottonwood, I would certainly have to look for another opportunity. I would not feel good about their opportunity there in Cottonwood Public Schools, which is super unfortunate. We have the elementary school right across the street from the library, so trying to do what Tom suggested and try to share resources, it's been much more difficult than I ever thought it would. But we got to keep trying, and got to keep trying to figure out what that looks like, I guess, and how to achieve that, because we're all getting government funds, so there's got to be a better way for us to do it, and it's right across the street. So I continue to try to be creative and focus on something like that. So okay, question for you. We'll stick with elementary schools and R.E. Jewell Elementary School. What are your most fond memories of R.E. Jewell Elementary School? Do you think it set you up for success? Do you think it gave you all the tools that you needed? And who is your favorite teacher while you were at R.E. Jewell Elementary School? Okay. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.